Evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley. Joining me, as always, is Zach Moore from Pigtown Sports. Zach, good evening. How are you today?
Good, man. How's it going for you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Would have been a lot better if the Orioles somehow managed to eke out more than one run and win that series against the A's. But 4-2 on a West Coast trip. Um,
I'm
I
not
guess it
mad
doesn't
at it.
matter. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter how they got there. If they had taken one of three from the Mariners and then swept the A's, we'd be singing a different tune. They
Right.
just did it the opposite way: swept the Mariners and then lost two of three to the A's. But still, 4-2 on the road trip, 11-6 in their last 17 games. They had won 6 straight as they headed into Sacramento before Dean Kramer stuck up the joint on Friday, and then Sagano kind of stunk up the joint today, although there was some poor defense that kind of impacted the game there. And honestly, Charlie Morton stunk up the joint too, but the Orioles somehow managed to win that game. We're going to get into all of that and more here in just a moment. Today's show is brought to you by Classic 5 Golf. Do you want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun instructional programs for the beginning golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com. Today's show also brought to you by our friends over at helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Before we get started, I had a baseball game this morning, and I played against one of your old buddies there, Zach. Rob Warwick told me to tell
Yeah.
you that he said hello. Have you ever played baseball with Rob Warwick?
Not baseball, but softball, and that kid could hit it.
That kid can hit it in baseball, too. He went 5 for 5 today, including a 3-run homer. His team beat us. It was 3-2 us going into the top of the 6th inning, and then the wheels fell off. We ended up losing that game 15-3. And Rob pitched the four innings before the 9th and just shut us down. He was just a phenomenal baseball player. I told him I'd give him a shout out on the show today. He tears the cover off the baseball. And it's funny because we were in there in the top of the 8th inning, and I'm telling my pitcher, don't pitch to this dude.
Yeah.
The slaughter rule run is on third base. There's 2 outs. There's a base open. Don't pitch to him. They pitch to him. He hits a 3-run homer. And I'm like, I told you not to pitch to him, you know? So
it seems that it's all. I mean, even the Orioles do the same thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, So anyway, so Rob says hello, and I wanted to give him a shout out on the show. He said that he listens most Monday mornings on his way to work, so I think that's pretty cool. As I was saying, the O's go 4-2 on the West Coast road trip. They swept the Mariners. We're feeling great. 6-game winning streak. They go into Sacramento, and Dean Kramer gives up 5 runs. The offense only scores 4. They lose 5-4. You're not feeling great about things. Jorge Mateo left, I think, 5 guys in scoring position in the game.
Shocker.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, he hit that fly ball to the wall. The center fielder makes a running catch. It was a hell of a play. He runs face first into the wall and manages to hang on to the ball, which kind of makes you think that probably Colton Cowser the inning before should have had that double that went off of his glove where he didn't run into any walls. And I get it that like Jorge gave that ball a ride and he got a good piece. It was still an out. And plays like that happen. And then he comes up with the bases loaded and 1 out and his next at bat, and he strikes out on like 3 or 4 pitches where that fly ball and that at bat, that's a different ball game, you know?
Right.
But Dean wasn't any good. Mateo left a bunch of guys on base. They go out on Saturday and it's 4-1 after the first inning. You look at Charlie Morton, he just a dud. I think he walked 4 guys in 2 1/3. He threw like 75 pitches in 2 1/3 innings. He gives up 4 runs, but then the bullpen, who was nails all trip. They only gave up 1 run, which was in the last inning today when Baker gave up the leadoff homer. But they gave 1 run in like 24 innings out there in the on the West Coast trip. But the Orioles, they only win 1 of 3 against Oakland. How are you feeling about this team right now? Are the Orioles back, or does that series against the Athletics kind of make you think maybe we should pump the brakes on saying they're back yet?
I think they're fine. I mean, look, playing West Coast isn't the easiest thing in the world. the A's, I understand they were like 1-19. Their offense never went anywhere, and they hit well. I'm looking at them. Their last 2 series, they hit 275 as a team with 32 runs scored in 6 games. So it's not like they weren't scoring runs prior to playing us. Their pitching was awful. Our guys didn't, capitalize, which has been kind of the theme this year. But look, they have some. I'm gonna come out and say it. They have some superstars in that lineup. Yes, they're young right now, but that's a damn good lineup right there. Especially like Butler and then Wilson and then Rooker. Like that, arguably is a top 5, top 3 in the lineup in all of baseball. Those are 3 really tough outs. And I mean, I think I heard Jim Palmer saying today, like Wilson was hitting like 490 against fastballs this year, or something crazy like that. And the guy's hitting 370 as a rookie. Like, a tough out. I mean, we know what Butler did last year. Rooker, I mean, he's established himself. Like, they've got some decent top half of that lineup there. Now their bottom half, and they kind of stink. But they do all their damage early, and they did it against us. I mean, just in their last 6 games, they have 21 extra base hits and 32 runs scored. So I mean, they hit the ball. They have no issues doing it. And honestly, when I look at it, the Orioles only gave up 6 doubles and 1 home run in this series. So they contain that offense fairly well. And when I looked at like our bullpen, this West Coast trip, I don't think our bullpen let up a run until today, right?
Yeah, it was just Baker and that leadoff homer in the 9th inning.
Yeah, so that was the only run they gave up in the last 6 games. So yeah, I'm confident to still say the O's are okay.
Yeah, and look, they got reinforcements coming back. It's funny, they were talking about Charlie Morton yesterday. They said back in 2008 I can't remember who he was playing with, but he was teammates with
Wilson's dad,
Matt Holliday and Jack Wilson. And then yesterday he's starting a game with Jackson Holliday playing behind him, and he's pitching to Jacob Wilson. And so it just kind of shows his longevity. Are you worried about Morton, or is it just bad timing for a
he was flying wide open again. Just like he looked like last time.
Yeah.
Front shoulder was blown out. The back shoulder was just lagging behind the body. He settled it in the 2nd inning and started to look okay. And then it's like he started to kind of rush again. And then it just kind of fell apart on him. I think that's something that they can realize on film, hopefully, and get that corrected again. I've seen some people say, maybe keep Charlie in the bullpen and give Rogers his fair shot. I'm not against it. I just don't know where or who you take out at this point. I mean, mainly because you have so many other decisions to come here shortly. So who knows? I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning into the idea of maybe keeping Morton in the rotation, but moving Povich to the bullpen. And because Povich, his first time through the order, he's lights out. Right. Yeah. First time through the order, he's lights out. It's his second time and third time through that he starts getting lit up. And it's like clockwork. First 3 innings, he looks like a world beater. And then he gets to the 4th inning and they start scoring some runs off of him. If you want a lefty in your rotation, call up Trevor Rogers, which is so weird to say. He had 1 good start for the Orioles this year, but it was maybe the best start the Orioles had this year. He has 1 good start for them, and now we're talking about him like we were talking about Gregory Soto in the offseason for some reason. But maybe you put him in the rotation, you move Povich to the bullpen, it solves 2 problems in 1. But really, I'll tell you, what I am concerned about with this team is the same thing that I was concerned about, when they were playing really, really poorly, is that they're still not hitting the baseball. The pitching has been really – the pitching has been really good recently, so it's been hiding the fact. I mean, they've scored 5 or more runs since that 8-game losing streak. They've scored 5 or more runs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in what is that? 7 times in 18 games, 17 games. 7 times in 17 games, and then there's 10 games where they're scoring 4 or less, which I guess that's not terrible. But you look at their win streak, 2 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs. They won a ball game where they had 6 hits and 4 runs the other day. And I just feel like this offense, needs to step it up a little bit. Now, look, Mountcastle's out 8 to 12 weeks. Tyler O'Neill isn't here. You're still missing Jordan Westbrook. Cedric Mullins is on the IL. I get it. You've got Emmanuel Rivera playing first base in a game where you're trying to win a series. I don't think that they scripted it out that Laureano and Dylan Carlson will be your starting corner outfielders on June 8th. But the pitching, it just goes to show that the pitching, if you can pitch, you can hang in any ball game. And then with this team getting healthy, again, Westbrook should be back soon. Mullins should be, I expect them both to be back by this week from what I've been reading. And that helps your ball club. But here's my question for you. Do the Orioles need to go out? One, do you think that they're still sellers at the deadline? Or 7.5 games back of the third wildcard spot entering today, which is, when you consider that it was 3 weeks ago, they were 18 games below 500, and now there's only 7.5 back of a wildcard spot. Are the Orioles sellers? Should they be buyers? And do they need to go get a bat?
A legitimate bat, yeah. And I'm sitting here looking at it. So these last two series with runners in scoring position, you had 8 guys who were 0 for 15 combined. And the names that you hear here, Mateo, that's obvious. Rivera had 1 at bat. Jordan Adams got an at bat with runners in scoring position. Maverick Hanley, Kobe Mayo, still trying to get his footing. Kalzer only had 2 at bats. Rutschman 0 for 5. You hate to see that. And then Urias had 1 at bat with runners in scoring position. But, Ryan O'Hearn was 2 for 3. Henderson was 2 for 3. Lariano was 1 for 2. Kerstad was 1 for 2. And Holiday was 1 for 3. So the guys that are going to be your regulars in the lineup, we're still hitting with runners in scoring position. It's the guys that are in flux right now outside of Adley where they really struggled, especially this last series. So those guys we probably won't see on the team too much, hopefully, anymore, which means that we're going to stay healthy. I expect that to get a little bit better. But we've seen with the Orioles, they just can't stay healthy. So these guys might continue to get at bats. I don't know. I'd like to see Kobe Mayo obviously get some more chances in that situation, but we'll see. I mean, there's still some things to hang your hat on. Sanchez is supposed to be back, like you said. O'Neill. I still think Tyler O'Neill's fine. I realize that half the fan base wants to just write him off and just cut him. Look, Tyler O'Neill's been doing this for a long time. And he's a good player, and he's still going to help this team make that run. I think the Orioles are just going to have to just close the book right now and not worry about being buyers or sellers. Obviously, your scouts are still going to have to go out there and do their thing. I wouldn't even worry about it for another couple weeks because you don't know what you're going to do when these guys do come back and you're fully healthy. Your starters, obviously, are still producing. You need to see what your other starters that are going to come back. We know Jordan Westbrook is going to provide a spark. Tyler O'Neill should provide a spark. Gary Sanchez is better than Maverick Hanley, at least at the plate. Not even close when it comes to defense, but that's a whole nother conversation. If you keep Mateo off the field, you're fine. Little things like that. So I don't think they can really make a decision right now until they have everybody on the field and they get a solid 2 weeks in and figure out where this team's going to be.
Well, I'll tell you, man, 2 weeks ago, I would have told you the Orioles have a difficult decision to make when Westbrook comes back because you're not getting rid of Urias. Westbrook's going to play every day. And you're going to have to DFA Emmanuel Rivera if you want if you want to take him off the roster. You're going to have to DFA him. Mateo, I think he has options remaining. I think you could send him down. But who do they keep? And Ramon, in my opinion,
there's no options. Mateo
has no options. All right, so you're gonna have to DFA Mateo or Rivera, whoever you get rid of. And can you justify putting Ramon Urias in a bench role again? Because he's one of the few guys that consistently gets on base. Consistently gets base hits, takes good at bats, puts the ball in play. You don't see him strike out a ton, and he's been playing a damn good third base for the Orioles since Westbrook got hurt. When Westbrook comes back, is he just automatically playing every day for you?
I would send Kobe Mayo back down. I know people aren't going to want to hear that. And Ramon Urias needs to be your right-handed first baseman right now, unless you want to go acquire somebody. Teach him it. He's got good hands.
Okay.
He's going to be able to pick the ball. They're not getting rid of Mateo as much as we all want to, as much as I want to. They're not getting rid of Mateo. I absolutely hate the fact that they won't do it, but you got to keep Urias somehow in the lineup. Can't DH him because honestly, they need to DH Tyler O'Neill. Keep him out of the weight room. Keep him off the field right now. Let him get healthy. Let him get back in that routine. We saw early in the season what O'Neill can do in this lineup, and he demolished right-handed hitting or pitching. That's what Tyler O'Neill has done his whole career. When he stays healthy, you got to keep that guy healthy.
You mean left-handed pitching?
What's that?
You mean he demolished
No.
left-handed
He was
pitching?
terrible against lefties to start the season. He was crushing righties, and then he got hurt. And he's a guy. If you keep healthy, he's going to get some big hits for you, and this team needs it.
Yeah, he's gonna start driving the baseball. It's gonna happen. He's done it his entire career. The problem is he's only had 2 seasons where he's played more than 100 games, and the other seasons haven't looked great because he hasn't been on the field. And this season's looking a lot more like those than the 2 seasons where he played over 100 games. But if you can get him back and you can somehow manage to keep him healthy, he's gonna get some big.
He's
hits,
like JD
big
Martinez in my opinion.
So,
JD was like that. He's a good hitter, right? He was just that. There was a couple of years he was in flux where he just couldn't stay healthy because they kept putting him out in left field. He wasn't the great. He was a decent outfielder, but he wasn't the greatest. When he finally moved to DH, it was just like, okay, I stayed healthy, and then all of a sudden he started tearing cover off the ball, and everyone wanted him for like that 5 to 6 year stretch. Tyler, to me, kind of reminds me almost the same. Just put him at DH, let him hit every day, keep him out of the weight room. Literally stand next to him and don't let him deadlift 1,000 pounds, and keep him healthy and let him hit. You're gonna see a good hitter.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in that regard at all. Now, here's another thing: Heston Kjerstad.
He's gone, I think.
Awful.
Yeah,
awful. The outfield defense has been atrocious, and I will tell you, and this is not tongue in cheek. That pinch hit at bat that he had on Friday night was maybe the worst at bat I've ever seen.
That looked like me trying to hit against a lefty. And I wasn't even a lefty.
No. That looked like me trying to hit. You at least played pro ball. That looked like me trying to go up there and face big league pitching. That's what that looked like. It was the worst at bat I think it's got to be the worst at bat.
Let me ask you a question
this year.
Do you think an eye exam would help him? Like when you really watch him closely, do you think that maybe he's not 1,000% 2020? Because the swing looks mechanically, the swing is okay, right? So it's not mechanically. Got a good arm. He can run a little bit, but the routes are bad. Like he gets a bad jump. Like he doesn't. It's almost like everything. It's depth perception. He doesn't see it off the bat well, and then he just doesn't pick up. Or he's thinking slider and it ends up being a fastball and he's just late, blows right by him. He can't, just figure out the difference between spin and the ball off the bat. Do you think there's any bit of maybe he needs to get contacts or something?
There's
his
no
jumps
way
are
for me to
terrible.
The jumps are terrible. I feel like every game we see Jacob Calvin-Meyer post that there's a ball that Heston Kjerstad didn't catch that had a 90 or 95% catch rate, right? Like it happens every game. That leg kick is not doing him any favors either at the plate. And right now he just looks lost to me. He looks lost in every facet of his game. And you started feeling like in that Seattle series, he got that big triple.
He hit well actually during the series.
Game. Yeah, and then he comes up to the plate, and it's like, I think he was. It's Mason Miller. I get it. Mason Miller's pumping 103 mile an hour fastballs, but you look, and I also know that he got 3 straight sliders from Miller, right? And Miller knows this dude can hit the ball country mile, and he's gonna be sitting dead red on the heater. Let me not give him one. But you look at Jackson Holliday, who's 21 years old. And he had a very competitive at bat. He ended up striking out at 103 up and in, right? It was just a damn good pitch. But I look at the quality of at bat that Holliday had, where he got 103 miles an hour, 4 straight pitches, and how terrible the at bat was by Kjerstad. And I'm like, how is a 21-year-old kid better than a 26-year-old dude who played college baseball? How is that happening? And that it's not like we're talking about Jackson Holliday, #1 pick in the draft, and Heston Kjerstad 4th-round pick. We're talking about
Second
Heston
overall.
Kjerstad, #2
Yeah.
pick in the draft.
What's crazy is
Like,
that was his only strikeout on the entire road trip. But it was that bad that we all remember it.
It was the worst at bat I think I've ever seen. It was so bad. I said I joked that he should be sent back down to AA after that at bat. I don't know, man. I couldn't speak to his eye exam. I'm not qualified to do that. I feel like if he needed an eye exam, they would probably know
so?
that.
This coaching staff.
Dude, you're not wrong. Oh my God, you're not wrong. And then how about them not going out to check on him after he slides into the wall and bashes his knee off the wall?
Man.
And like you see the grimace, the wince, the scream. You see him limping, and they still, after what happened with Adley, and they still don't go out and check on. What the are we doing?
I don't know. I forget who said it. And somebody said something about Gunnar running back to like through left field with different trainers. And they said we rotate trainers out in between the game. Did you read that?
I read that it was just because of the way that the ballpark is set up that they happen to be going out at the same time, and that's the only exit. And so like they had to go out at the same time. And so it looked like because Gunnar was fine.
But you rotate trainers?
But
what the hell are we doing?
Why do we need 7 coaches for every coaching position?
I guess because the first 6 aren't any good. I don't know.
Jesus.
Listen, you got 7 trainers and you can't keep anyone healthy.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like anyone.
Man.
And now we're here like Braxton Bragg has forearm tightness. Like the kid was mowing people down. Forearm tightness.
I didn't hear that. Yeah. I didn't hear that until
he missed a start today because of it.
There's that. The rich get richer here in Baltimore. Let me tell you. I don't know, man. This team is something else because they're playing some good baseball right now, despite the loss today and losing 2 or 3 to Sacramento, Oakland, Vegas Athletics. Like they're still playing good baseball, a lot better than they have all year. They look different. They look more competitive. Today they didn't. Today they looked dead in the water. But for the previous 5 games out there, they looked like they could hang with anybody. This Detroit series is gonna go a long way to it's gonna show us who this team is. And I don't think they missed Eric Skubal, so that's gonna be count that as an L. They got no shot in that game. I'm just gonna go out.
Probably not, but you know what? That's what you're gonna see in the playoffs. So put together a competitive game against it. Make it a 3-2 game or something like that. I'll be happy. I'll be complete. A loss sucks, but you go out there and you put in a competitive game against Tariq Skubal and you don't allow him to have like 11 to 15 strikeouts. I'm happy with that because you're only going to get better.
I just don't see how that happens. I think I wasn't even thinking about the strikeout aspect of it, but is there any way they don't strike out 15 times in that game? I saw something that in that dude's like last 6 starts, he's got like 95 strikeouts to 3 walks, something like that. Like the numbers are eye popping. He's like, I knew he was good going into last year. I didn't know he was.
It's same with Crochet.
Like
their elbows are just ticking time bombs, and then their career's over. Both of them. They both already had 2 Tommy Johns, or Crochet's only had 1, but Tariq's had 2. Not 2 Tommy Johns, but he's had 2 elbow issues, so to say. Different areas, but I mean, eventually, I think it's going to just fall apart in there. One.
Well, he better get paid. He better get paid soon. Reap the benefits of just how untouchable he's been.
Where does baseball go right now? Honestly, like because you're handing out these big contracts, like you have to pay for pitching, but every time you do, you literally at this point you have to build in missing 2 years from this guy. Like, where do you go as an entire league from here? Like, because now even if you draft a guy, like, you literally have to build into your plans them missing 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, Corbin Burns, the picture of health. He has to have Tommy John surgery. This came out yesterday. He's going to miss the rest of the season with Tommy John and a good bit of next year. Probably 2/3, 3/4 of next season. because of Tommy John surgery. And we were talking last year about how this guy just posts up start after start after start. The only pitcher that I can think of that hasn't that pitched and earned every penny of his contract is Max Scherzer. And now, like, you can't get mad at Max Scherzer for being 41,
And
42
didn't he
years
miss
old
one,
and
2
getting
years?
injured.
No.
He signed that 7-year contract with the Nationals, and I don't think he missed a start. Maybe 1 or 2. But you go look at Max Scherzer. That dude was putting up 32, 33 starts for like 9 years in a row.
Yeah.
I mean,
Verlander too for a long time.
He posted up.
I think he missed a year though, didn't he?
Yeah. Verlander missed. See, Verlander missed. I think it was 2021, and then he came out and won the. He missed it with Tommy John surgery, and then in 2022 he came out and won the Cy Young.
Right.
Or it was 2022, and then he came out in 23 and won the Cy Young. But like, there's some. But he had, and again, that's a guy who had to have Tommy John surgery in his late 30s. Like Grayson, should Grayson just while he's out right now just get Tommy John surgery too and get it out of the way? You know. I'm being facetious. But because it would, but like legitimately, is there any doubt in your mind that Grayson Rodriguez is going to need Tommy?
There's too hard. Yeah. There's literally no one can outrun it.
Yeah, and Mason Miller, he's a ticking time bomb.
His is already torn. Didn't they say that last year?
Yeah, he's been pitching with a partially torn UCL. I mean, what's his name? Tanaka. For the Yankees, he pitched his entire career with the Yankees, which was not that long. It was like 6-7 years, maybe, if that. But he pitched his entire career with a partially torn UCL. They even said with Corbin Burns, it's a sprained UCL, which is what Bradish had last year that he tried to pitch through it. I guess Burns was probably like, look, I saw this with maybe he said it, maybe he didn't, but like probably looking at like I saw this with Kyle Bradish last year. Let's just get the surgery and get this thing started now and not F around with this. But it is inevitable that if you throw 95 to 100 miles an hour at some point, you're going to have Tommy John surgery, and the wear and tear that these high school pitchers put on these guys and these college pitchers put on these guys, the college pitchers, at least they know. I mean, the college coaches, at least they know that like, hey, look, my job is to win ball games, but my second job is to get these guys ready for the pros, right? High school pitchers, they don't give 2 shits about what happens to that pitcher. They care about winning their state titles. Look at Dylan Bundy. Look at Pat McDonald. Like they don't care about you. They care about winning their state titles. And then you'll go play college ball. You'll get drafted early out of high school, and then it's somebody else's problem after that. But Dylan Bundy, I think, threw like 300 pitches in a doubleheader, and he threw every inning of that doubleheader when he was in high school. Like, it is 100% inevitable that at some point, just about every pitcher is going to need Tommy John surgery, and sometimes 2. I mean, you look at Ohtani. Ohtani's had 2. Do you think Ohtani should ever pitch again?
I don't see why he needs to with the roster they have, but they can't keep anybody healthy either.
Well,
which is funny that you bring him up there. We'll get to this in 1 second, but the Japanese guys, they throw nonstop. They don't stop, and it's like a full-on bullpen session every single day. They don't take breaks, and they go out there, and they don't have pitch limits, and they don't get hurt until they come here. Like, what the hell is the difference? And we throw less here than they do. When they get out of school, they're throwing 150, 200 to 300 pitches a day in the bullpen working on stuff. They don't get hurt. I've often said it. Are guys lifting too hard for baseball? Because I remember a conversation Nick Markakis had years ago, and they were like, well, why don't you try to bulk up? And he's like, because that's just not baseball. I need to keep my body healthy. Do you think guys are literally lifting too hard and doing everything too hard in the weight room to the point where think about a rubber band. I mean, when you coil it up too fast or too hard, eventually snaps. Like all these ligaments, football is the same way. And think about what they do. Their ACLs just snap. Like, is it a U.S. problem?
Well, and another thing I'm thinking about is how much of it has to do with the American diet.
A lot of that too, probably.
Like, you think about the diets overseas. I mean, they banned red dye years ago. You look at the difference between a Fanta in Brazil and a Fanta here, And the Fanta in Brazil looks like
Oh, look at
orange
Skittles.
juice. Here,
Have you ever looked at Skittles?
it's as orange as this. Oh, not from a
Oh,
different
dude,
country.
Skittles here apparently have DNA altering substances in them. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, and Marshawn Lynch was eating Skittles
Right.
during every game. You know, like how much of the American diet is impacting this? You know, like because I was listening when I play baseball, and I play baseball for 3 months out of the year. Well, that's not true. I play a lot of baseball, but it's 1 day a week from basically January to
Hold
November.
on, my wife said
And then
the
I get
dog's
2 months
freaking
off,
out.
and then
1 second.
oh, all good. While he's taking off here for a second, today's show has been brought to you by Glenn Clark Radio. If you missed anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversations with Enrique Bradfield, Dylan Beavers, Jim Bowden, and much more, you can find them all now in the Glenn Clark Radio Week in Review feature at PressBoxOnline.com. And as always, watch or listen to GCR every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. on PressBoxOnline.com/radio or right here on Facebook and YouTube. I really do though. I wonder how much of this has to do with the American diet because like I was saying, I play baseball 1 day a week, minimum from March to November.
Sorry about that.
I play baseball. Oh, good. I play baseball 1 day a week minimum from about March to November. I haven't played in the winter league up in Redline in a couple years. It's an indoor league. And my shoulder is always hurting. It's always killing me. And then I heard Mike Bordick on the radio. I thought maybe it's just me. And then I heard Mike Bordick on the radio a few months ago talking about how your arm hurts all year. Like you start throwing in February, you start playing baseball games every single day the third week of February, and you don't stop till October. Your arm hurts the entire year.
I think I went through 3 years of high school where I took 8 Advil every day. 8. I'm pretty sure my liver's shot.
Man, I was gonna say, I hope your liver's okay. Yeah, man.
I didn't even pitch ever.
I think,
and my arm still hurt.
Yeah. I think that it's partially the American diet, partially the fact that we put so much emphasis on. Okay, so it's weird for me to say it because it's a contradictory statement, right? Because we're the most obese country in the world, but we also have the people that are into fitness here are like psychotic about it. Like absolutely. There's a dude that works at the restaurant that I work at on the weekends. We have caught him several times in the bathroom, the customer bathroom with his shirt off, flexing in the mirror. The guy, I mean, he's 18 years old. And he's, oh, dude, it's ridiculous. He's 18 years old. He is absolutely jacked. Good for him. But in the middle of a shift, and he's supposed to be running food, he's in the bathroom with his shirt off, flexing. But I mean, that's people that bodybuilders, people that work out religiously, they are obsessed with it. They're obsessed with it.
Look at Tyler O'Neill.
There's no reason. Yeah. I mean, I'll go in there and I'll try to. At one point I was trying to bench press 300. I got up to like 290, and I was like, "Why am I doing this? My shoulders hurt." I was trying to get up to 400 pounds on the squat, and I was like, "Why am I doing this? My knees hurt." You know what I mean? Like, why do I need this? What am I training for? Why do I need to squat 400 pounds? Why do I need to bench 300 pounds? You know, like what? Like, what am I doing this for? But it's the mentality of everybody that is super into lifting. I just want to lift heavier and heavier and heavier. It's ego lifting. Like, why does Tyler O'Neill need to look the way he does to do what he does for a living? Like, you know what I mean? It just between that, you look at the average looking, all the Japanese players, and I mean this from a body standpoint, their bodies look exactly the same.
They're in shape, but they're not like chiseled.
They're all lean. They're all lean. They all look like they probably do nothing but hot yoga. And like they could go run a marathon. They're all lean, in good shape, and it's anything else that they do. I mean, you look at the perfectionist that the Asian culture is, right? Anything that they do it to perfection. So is there any wonder that they're out there? I am fully convinced that they figured out stuff that we are years away from figuring out. You know, the fact that they throw every day, I would never have guessed that, but there's probably something to it because they're also, I mean, Shohei Ohtani, Roki Sasaki, what's his name? Roki Sasaki. Those, they throw 95 to 100 miles an hour. But most of them, Sagano, he touches 94, but he sits 91 to
Mhm.
93. They're not throwing hard. They're not throwing max effort. He
Yeah.
could, if he wanted to, he could, but they don't throw. They're about
Yep.
pitchability, hitting their spots, and getting deep
And
into ball
they'll
games.
spin the ball in
They
there,
know
but they're
how to
not
protect their
chasing
arms.
spin rate on it. Like, I mean, you can watch Shigano's
Mhm.
curveball and stuff and the slider. It moves. It moves a good bit.
Mhm.
But he doesn't care about, 2,200 RPMs and all that crap. Like, and it's still effective.
No. Exactly. So, like, there's something to it. There's something to it. I do think that
I would love
that
Trevor
too many
Bauer to come out
baseball
and talk
players
about it.
are focused on
I
lifting.
would love it.
Somebody mentioned last night, are there still any Orioles fans out there that think it's that still aren't on board with giving Trevor Bauer a call? He's never going to pitch in the majors again. He's never going to. And it's like, the guy was like, well, that's what's wrong with it. He should. And they're never going to let him. And it's like, well, I don't think anybody cares about it anymore because we just know. No, like, we can want him to pitch all we want, and the owner's not gonna, or a GM isn't gonna sign this guy. Which I'm getting off track here, but I mean, I see the videos that Trevor Bauer puts out, and like, he's a student of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would just love to hear his
what
input,
do you think
like just their culture, like what is different here than there, and why do they stay healthy? I think if he would put out a video about that, I bet you that thing would get millions of views, millions.
He's pretty good about responding to people that tag him.
I've tagged him before about it, and he didn't respond, but I might try again. I don't know. I mean, even Cole Irvin. I mean, somebody could get a hold of Cole Irvin and just see, like, hey, like, do you see, like, the younger generation there? Like, how do they go about their day? Because from what I've heard, I mean, I've never seen it, obviously, myself, but what I've heard is, like, they get out of school and they go play baseball for hours, and it's, we don't do that here. But their arms just hold up. It's just weird. It's something I would love to really dive into and learn.
What was his name? Miles McCollis, for the Cardinals. McCollis for the Cardinals. He was supposed to be really good here. He wasn't great here. He goes over to Japan, and he was phenomenal. Comes back and gets a big contract from the Cardinals. Now he's a steady middle of the rotation pitcher. I wonder what he has to say about it. What did he learn over there? Right. Mike Wright went over there and had success. What did they learn over there about keeping their arms healthy and pitchability? Like, what are they learning over there that they're not teaching over here? Now over here, it's about spin rate. How hard can you throw the baseball? How long can you go max effort before we got to pull you? It's the same as anything else in this country. Bigger, sexier, faster. That's what it's about. And the whole questions you asked to start this whole conversation is, what is baseball going to do? I have no idea.
They need to go and study what they do over there. Hire people. I don't care what it takes. Find out and keep people healthy, because it's ruining the game.
If you had a rotation of 5 Saganos, you'd win 95 games. You'd win 95 games. Like, that guy, like, if the Orioles were, if the record was flip-flop, they'd be talking about him as, for one, Rookie of the Year, and 2, as a Cy Young candidate. Like, I don't think that the Orioles have really lost a step from Corbin Burns with getting Sagano here, because Corbin Burns, he had a lower ERA when he was here, but it took him till June to get into the 7th inning. It feels like every 2 starts he's going into the 7th. Sagano's going into the 7th. So I don't think that they've missed a step, which just goes to show even more so just how bad the team has been. That they replaced Burns essentially with Sagano, and they're still this bad.
Peyton makes a good point too. Fetty went over and came back and has pitched well.
Where's Fetty?
He's in St. Louis still.
Okay, how's he doing this year?
I think he's fine. I don't think he's like lighting up the world, but I think he's doing decent. He's 3-5 at a 3.54. I mean,
I didn't want him at the deadline last year because I was like, there's no way he's going to be this good for that long. But if he's doing it again this year, I do want to get to some of these comments, because somebody made a comment about, and I've heard people talk about this before. Who was it? I think it was Jim Bowden that said that Gunnar Henderson's playing the wrong position. Birdland Sports Zone says, I will say it every day, Gunnar Henderson is a third baseman trying to play shortstop. How do you feel about that?
I think Gunner's still a superstar, no matter where you put him. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, the play today, does a defensive wizard make that play? Maybe. I wouldn't say that he's not a shortstop because we've watched him make literally too many web gem plays. And I think he plays the position just fine. I think his biggest problem, honestly, is just his mentality and his age. Where is he the smoothest glove in the game? No. Is he the smoothest arm in the game? Pretty close, but no. He wants to do everything at 600 miles an hour. He wants to. I don't even think he cares about being flashy, but he's just good enough to get to stuff, and then it's just not smooth all the time. But Gunner's just like, I've got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this all the time. And I think it's just too much in his head all the time. And it's like, because you could tell he was like, all right, I probably got to backhand this. It's going to be a short hop. And you could see himself trying to work through that instead of maybe just getting in front of the ball. Just chest it up, let it hit you, drop in front of you, throw the guy out of first, right? He's thinking so much. I got to do this, I got to do this. I got to potentially get this guy at second here. And I think it's just too much going on. And Machado had the same problem. And Machado did move to third, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer because of it. Could Gunner benefit from that? Sure, because he's a superstar. I wouldn't say that he's playing out of position right now. He could move and be completely fine, but he's still fine at shortstop, in my opinion. I don't know if you're going to get much better than him. I'll say that.
Yeah. There's something missing with Gunner this year. There's something
he's a guy that tries too hard. Bless you.
Yeah. But I mean, thank you. Even last year, he was still that guy. But what he was doing the first half of the season last year, I mean, he was on pace to set the record for WAR by shortstop in a season last year. Like he was an MVP candidate. We thought he was going to hit 55 home runs, and he didn't even get to 40. And this year, the power is just missing. The clutch hitting, I mean, he's been getting a little bit better with the clutch hitting, but there's just something missing with Gunner this year. And there's something missing with a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? But I have noticed that defensively, Gunner has been, I think they've been working on it with him. He's been setting his feet more. Fielding ground balls like a more fundamentally sound shortstop, and then stepping into his throw rather than trying to come around the ball, field the ball with one hand, and then make the throw on the run. I have noticed he's been setting his feet a lot more. So I'm sure that they've been like, look, man, we get that this is like what you've been taught coming up. This is what we want you to do. We care more that you catch the balls that you're supposed to catch than we do about you making the flashy play. And that's what an Orioles shortstop has always been. How much do you think Cal has an influence on that? Do you think that Cal gives any kind of tutelage during the season to any of these players?
Much. I don't think he comes down much.
No.
Outside of to watch the game, but I mean, I feel like if he's on the field, like we would have known about it. There would have been a picture from somebody, one of the reporters or something. I mean, you just haven't heard about it in years.
Yeah. Some more comments here. Stephen Wingreen says Adley should be batting from the right. Adley had just a phenomenal series against the Mariners. I think he was like 7 for 15, hit a couple of home runs, had some big hits in that series, which he really led the team.
He was 8 for 21.
And then but what, in that series or on the West Coast trip?
He hit 381.
But when you think about the fact that 7 of those hits came in the first 3 games, he had 1 hit in that Oakland series. Does he just need to play? I mean, maybe the Orioles can trade him to Seattle. He can play half of his games in Seattle, and we can get Cal Raleigh. You know, I know that he got rid of the big leg kick, and he had started trying to do this toe tap thing that just wasn't working. So he went more into like a natural stride situation, and he started hitting the ball. Was it really just the fact that he was playing in Seattle that caused him to get 7 hits in that series, or did you see something different? Because he didn't look great in the Oakland series.
I mean, not many people really did. I mean, Ryan O'Hearn had a really bad series too. It could have just been just a bad series. I mean, they happen. We'll be able to tell a little bit more when we get home. The stride looked good. The mechanics looked better, and he was obviously driving the ball. I don't see. I feel more comfortable now than we did last time we talked. Let's put it that way. I was on the train. Yes, let's go right-handed only, like because this looks terrible. Now Mabry's had about a week with these guys, and the guys that you would expect to get better have gotten better. I mean, through these 2 series alone, Adley hit 381, Lariano 375. Obviously, he was only back from one of those series. Gunnar hit 353, Kerstad hit 300, Kauser hit 294, Mayo hit 250. Everybody else is pretty terrible, but I mean, those are the guys that you would expect to hit, and they did a good job. Holiday struggled, hit 200, and O'Hearn hit 200, but those are guys that I feel like you probably trust more to figure it out anyway. But it's good to see some guys get going, especially Gunnar. We end up hitting what? How many? We hit what? 2, 4, 6. We hit 8 home runs in 6 games, so that's better. And what did we score? How many runs did we score?
What
21
on the road trip?
So 21 in 6 games, not the greatest, but you know what?
Yeah, it's under 4 runs.
But they got 4 wins out of it, so that goes back to the bullpen figuring it out. We haven't seen the Orioles play a complete game yet, or even a complete series. I don't think. Even the ones that they swept, I don't think we saw them play a complete series. So there's some left to be desired there. I think they're okay. The walks were way up. What was it? 7, 9, 15, 19, 20, 21 walks in 6 games. That is un-Oriole-like. Big time.
They were saying, though, Ben McDonald was saying a week or two ago before we left for the College World Series, the Orioles have seen more pitches than any team in baseball. They see more pitches than any team in baseball. So it maybe it's not an Orioles like. Maybe it's just that when they are putting the bat on the ball, they aren't getting good results because, it's easy to feel good about things when you're winning ball games, but when you really look at it, like you said, I'm not surprised that they scored 21 runs in 6 games on that West Coast trip because they were winning ball games. What was it? 3-2, 4-1, stuff like that. Like they weren't running away with them. They won, I think, 4 one-run ball games, 3 one-run ball games out there. So it's the bats. But again, when Emmanuel Rivera is getting meaningful at bats for you, when Dylan Carlson's an everyday player for
Mateo.
you're like I said, Mateo's getting the bats, and man, Kauser goes out there and he has a couple of good games coming back in that Seattle series, and then Game 3 trying to sweep. And look, they got the sweep, won that game 4-3. But the fact that Mateo was playing and starting in center field just absolutely blew my mind. I want to ask you, in my opinion, Enrique Bradfield could play center field for you right now and be actually be more valuable to your team than Jorge Mateo.
I'll go on the record right now and tell you that Enrique Bradfield is the best center fielder in baseball, and he's only in Double-A. I'll go that far.
Are you talking just defensively? Okay. And that's the thing. I think that he will give you as much as Mateo gives you offensively. More. And maybe a little bit more because he'll actually square the bunt and get it down. He'll actually get the bunt down. But if Mateo's going to hit 150 and Bradfield's going to hit 150, at least Bradfield gives you the crazy speed with good defense out there in the outfield. Like you could, if they DFA'd Jorge Mateo tomorrow and they called up Enrique Bradfield to be their 4th outfielder, are you going to be upset about that?
I wouldn't even care if it was Dylan Beavers.
Dylan Beavers is having a hell of a year. He's hitting I think he's hit 327 at AAA with an OPS approaching 900. He went deep again today.
He is literally pushing himself in front of Kerstad, and there's not much that the Orioles can do about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to be a better defender. I mean, the defensive outfielders that the Orioles have in this system in the minor leagues is crazy. Like their defensive skill set is crazy good. So the fact that Kerstad isn't hitting and he's so I have this framed picture of Ripken ends the streak in my office, and my cat is over here pawing at it for some reason. I think she might see her own reflection in it. But anyway, that's why I just stopped and was like staring over there at her. But yeah, like just brings me back to Kerstad. Just brings me back to Kerstad. I'm going off the rails, man. I'll tell you that the Sunday night shows when my wife works, she gets home at like 8, and I have my daughter, and then she like gets my daughter at 8:20, and I have to run down here and like get everything set up. These are the hard shows to do. These shows are the harder ones to do. But want to get to some more comments here. James Reckling, he says, O'Neal over $40 million. He ain't getting cut. Like that's people will talk about like they need to just cut their losses with O'Neal. Like they're not cutting him. They're not going to cut him. They're not going to give him that kind of money and then eat that.
I mean, $5 million.
That would be very.
That's one thing. 8.5. You're going to try and get as much as you can out of that. 56. Is that what it was total? 56, 46. I don't remember. They ain't cutting that.
I think it was.
It was 16.5 a year, right?
I think it was like. Yeah, it was 16.9. They basically gave him 17, so it was 3 years, 51 point something million.
They're not
or just under 51 million.
No chance in hell.
No,
not even till like year 3.
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you answer this one. Does Mike claim or make a minor cash-related trade for Forrest White?
Probably, because that's just a Mike Elias thing to do. I mean, kid had good stuff at one point. Yeah, he had good stuff at one point. The Orioles were a team at one time that could make these claims and fix them. We haven't seen that this year or last year. So I would calm down on that for a little while. If you're going to make a move right now, make a move for somebody who actually has options. That way you can move people in and out of your bullpen for like days like today where you didn't have many guys left. Continuing to get these guys that you have to DFA every third day is just stupid. It's a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah. No, I feel like Kittredge, he's been really good, right? But doesn't it seem like he's not pitching that much? I feel like he pitches like every fourth day.
I think they're taking their time, probably.
Are they still just... Yeah. I really think that this team is banking on, like the front office is banking on a draft surge. Mm-hmm. I really do. I think that they're banking on getting Kowser fully healthy and into baseball shape, getting Westbrook back fully healthy. Same thing with Mullins, getting Bradish, maybe get Grayson, hopefully get Wells back, and then making a serious like second half surge. But I'll tell you that everybody's got to get better at putting the baseball in play. Yeah. And I mean, Gunnar was on second base with nobody out there. I think in the 6th or 7th inning, he didn't even get to third base.
Right.
They have got to get better at situational hitting and getting guys over when they're in scoring position with less than 2 outs. If you're not going to get them in with a base hit, at least put the ball in play and get them over.
Right.
Big Cuzzo 410. Heston is still very young. No, he's not.
Yeah, he's starting to climb up there. I mean,
he's gonna be 26 years old.
Is he young? Yeah, he's 26, which is, I mean, yeah, that is young. But in baseball world, if you haven't really like cemented yourself, now guys obviously don't get their shot till 30 sometimes. And look at Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker was around this age when it started to click for him. Could it happen?
A little bit older. A little bit older.
Yeah. So could it click? Yeah, it definitely could. But it doesn't happen often. And once you get surpassed, and that was the thing with Rooker, was there was really nobody else better that could surpass him. You've got 6 guys that are like pounding on the door within, Bowie and Norfolk that are pushing their way past Heston Kjerstad. At that, once you get buried, you're buried, dude. Like it's over. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, like I didn't think he was tradable anyway, because he hadn't proven anything at the big league level. We know how big the gap is from AAA to the majors. And you're talking about a 26-year-old outfielder. Most teams aren't looking to trade for a 26-year-old outfielder that doesn't have a wealth of experience, right? And now you look at how poor his season has been, how bad he's looked in the outfield, and you combine that with the fact that he's 26 years old with not a ton of experience. I don't know how you trade Heston Kjerstad for anything of significant value. He might be able to be part of a package. He ain't going to be the centerpiece anymore.
He's going to be Kyle Stowers. He's going to be a throw-in.
Yeah.
We're going to trade you here to give you an opportunity to play every day because you're not going to get it here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they were the same age.
Yeah.
Same amount of bats, basically.
Stowers has kind of slowed down, though, hasn't he?
No, it's been terrible.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely...
When I last looked, I think he was like less than 140.
So when I looked, I think towards the end of last week, he's hitting 282. That's what he was hitting when I looked last week. So let's see his last few games.
His last 15 games, he's hitting 212 with 3 RBIs and no home runs.
Yeah, he hasn't homered in quite a while, and 2 for 4 the other day, but he hasn't played in 5 days, something like that. He may have played today.
What's today, the 8th? No,
I can't imagine.
He got in at bat, so he's got a pinch hit at bat the last 2 games. So maybe he's dealing with something. I don't know, but he was hitting, and then he went through a stretch where he was like 0 for 15, and then he got 1 hit. And then he went 0 for 8, 0 for 12 again, and then got 3 hits, and now he's 0 for 2. So he's been scuffling pretty bad. But that's what Kjerstad's turning into right now. A guy who doesn't have a ton of footage on him, doesn't have a ton of at-bats, 26 years old. What am I going to do with him? Doesn't have any room here. He's going to be a throw-in. And he could have the same fate where somebody else figures him out, gets him better, and he hits for a little bit. The thing with Stowers is actually a good defensive guy. I love Stowers playing defense. You know, he plays all 3 positions very well. Heston doesn't. So I can see like the Pirates, you know, if we swing a deal with Mitch Keller, I think Heston kind of gets just thrown in, which is crazy to say, isn't it? 2nd overall pick is a throw in.
Yeah.
But that's where we're getting at.
I mean, it was kind of, when he got drafted, we were also expecting it to be Austin Martin, who has not had a good start to his big league career either by any stretch. But excuse me, thank you. But when Heston Kjerstad got drafted, we all went, "Who?" I had no idea who that. But
he was a hitter.
Kjerstad was, and then he comes out, and they convinced me on him because of the prodigious power that he had, and then myocarditis happens and he doesn't play for a year and a half, and then he tears up the Arizona Fall League, and then he enters spring training the next year and he immediately tears his hamstring leaking out a triple, and then he comes in, he starts to get his first taste of big league experience and success, takes 97 off the dome, you know, and now it's, what's the excuse now? You know, what's the excuse now? Because you're healthy, you're getting everyday opportunities, and you know that at bat, then I may never forget that at bat.
I'm looking back at the 2020 draft, and wasn't a very good one, but you could have had Max Mayer, very good for the Marlins. Emerson Hancock, he's going to figure it out for Seattle. Zach Veen, that really good outfielder, he was a high schooler that went 9th overall.
The old Zach that used to host the show with me, Zach Goodman, he loved Zach Veen.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet went 11th. Patrick Bailey went 13th. That would have been nice. Mick Abel from the Phillies. Nicky York, Pete Crow Armstrong, Jordan Walker. Some of these guys actually didn't even sign, which is crazy.
Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, he was 19th overall. Soderstrom, the athletics catcher there, he was a high school kid. Austin Wells, Bobby Miller would have been a great guy to have. Jordan Westberg obviously went 30th. But just, I mean, there's a lot of guys. It's crazy to look at some of these guys that didn't sign. Holy crap. There was a lot of guys that didn't sign in this round. And even in the 2nd round, goodness. Jared Jones, here you go, 44th overall. That'd have been a fun guy. Evan Carter, 50th overall. Mason Wynn, God, that guy's good. But, you know, that draft wasn't great, but if they would have just took a pitcher, like Max Mayer was right there. Emerson Hancock.
They're never going to do it. Are they going to draft a pitcher in the first 4 rounds again?
I see it on Instagram all the time. All these guys that do all these mock drafts, because we have, 6 picks in the first 100 picks or something like that. And I think it's like 3, I believe it's 3 or 4 in the top 50. And all the mock drafts have us taking all position players. And I comment on every one of them. I'm like, you're just trying to get Orioles fans wound up at this point, aren't you? Having no pitchers in any of these 5 picks. And they're like, oh, I didn't even realize that. Like, they actually comment back and they all say, I didn't even realize that. Like, and I'm like, dude, this fan base will lose its mind if you don't take at least one arm in the first 5 picks.
It's going to happen. They're not going to take an arm. They don't. They're going to take all college bats. They're going to take all college bats arms, and then
because they're closer.
Oh my gosh, man! Yeah, no, they are a college arm a first round college arm should be able to get to the big leagues in 2 or 3 years. They should be able to get to the big leagues in 2 or 3 years and have, in my opinion, have success. But today's show brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Are you feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, they specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments include testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Call Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills at 443-264-4454 or visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. And try not to play baseball if you're going to do that, because I know you want to lift heavy. So you were talking about how you think that Mayo could be gone once these guys start getting back. Once you start getting Westberg back and Mullins and O'Neill. Mountcastle's out 8 to 12 weeks. You don't think this is Kobe Mayo's opportunity?
I think it is, but it just comes down to the numbers. And like we were talking about, Ramon Urias has earned himself playing time, and first base is just a place to put him where he can play a lot. And I don't know. It just depends. Look, this is easier if you just get rid of Jorge Mateo, but we just know this team's just not going to do it. They'll send Kobe Mayo down for Jorge Mateo. Like, that's where we are, which sucks. Like, speed is not that important to me when you can't hit the ball.
and if it's that important, call up somebody who at least can give you good defense, like Enrique Bradfield. And again, I'm not saying that because I like all these people that talk about they want Samuel Basayo up and they give Dylan Beavers a shot. Like, they're going to struggle. They're going to get to the big league level, and they're going to start out similarly to how Kalser and Holiday and Kerstead started out, and Mayo. Like, they're going to start out slow because it's such a huge transition from that level to this level. But speed doesn't slump. And defense doesn't – outfield defense like Enrique Bradfield has doesn't slump, and he can actually put a bunt down. You bat him ninth, and if he gets 2 hits a week, you can live with that because of the defense that he gives you, and he can get guys over.
Yeah.
You know, so I would much rather see him playing than Jorge Mateo at this point. Colton Kalser, that home run last night. I mean, when you watched it disappear into the top of that tree, you saw the home run, I'm assuming. 455. Do you buy that?
Yeah. I mean, he hit one.
I felt like
447 last year.
Well, I'm saying it looked like it went further than that. Now, again, it's a minor league. It's a minor league.
It's hard
ballpark.
to trace.
But like, and I also see stuff like Holiday hit one on the Utah Street a few weeks back that they said was 393 feet. Like, to me, that's bullshit. There's no way he just hit a ball 393 feet and made it to Utah Street. So Kalser, he comes back, homers in his first game. I think it was only my third pick to click that I got right all year. I'm like at the very bottom of the list. Like, I don't know how people have guessed 14
it's crazy
right, or whatever. It's nuts. But 6 for 21 since coming back, a couple of home runs, a double, 1 walk to 5 strikeouts. You compare that, you took him for take the rake this past week. I took Ramon Urias, who went 4 for 21 with no home runs. You won take the rake. So who are you going to take for this week? The only guy you can't take is Kalser.
Give me give me Adley Rutschman. I'm going to give him a vote of confidence here. Or it could be cursing him, so we'll find out.
I'm taking Jordan Westbrook.
Fair too. I thought about Lariano. Yeah, I really did. He's been hitting it, but
dude, he came in today 275 with 7 home runs. I did not see that coming from him.
I posted earlier since the trade deadline last year. In his last 94 games, he's hitting 293. 293, 16 home runs, 40 RBIs, and 283 at bats. Somebody said 40 RBIs isn't that much, but honestly, I mean, when you go back and look at last year's team, I think if you would multiply that by a little bit, we'll say he went like 65 RBIs. That would have been like what, top 3 in the Orioles?
How many RBIs does Gunnar Henderson have over his last 94 games?
65 RBIs would have been
not
5th.
40.
So I'll take that. 40 RBIs
so
would have been.
You look at Gunnar.
8th. Gunnar
Gunnar
over his
this
last
year,
what?
So Gunnar this year, how many games has Gunnar played this year? He's played 57 games. He's got 17 RBI. 17 RBI in 56 games this year, right? So then you look back at Gunnar in 2024. So 57 games, you got another 37.
Would you say it was
Gunner's
last 100?
37 games last year? You said 94 games for Laureano. He's hitting 294 or something like that, or 299.
Yeah, I just went July 1st.
Okay, so go back to July 1st.
So for Gunner's hitting since July 1st.
That's too many games. We'll say from game.
It's 133, 1. So it's not too many more.
So let's see. Well, no, we'll go back to
Gunnar Henderson's stats. We'll say last 95 games. 257, 12 home runs, 32 RBIs. So
Laureano has more RBIs.
Better average, more hits, more home runs, but more RBIs. And more extra base hits, I believe. Let me double check that.
You know what Gunnar needs? Gunnar needs a legitimate bat hitting directly behind him and a legitimate bat hitting directly in front of him. He needs somebody that's going to tear the cover off the baseball. Gunnar Henderson would be the leading vote getter at shortstop if he played for the New York Yankees, because he'd be hitting third for that team, and he'd be sandwiched in between Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge.
Yep.
Gunnar would be, his numbers would be eye-popping right now. It would be like the first half of last year for him. But nobody's scared. Even Ryan O'Hearn. Like, Ryan O'Hearn's a good player. Ryan O'Hearn is a good player, and he's having a really good season. And I think that the Orioles, if they're not going to trade him, they should extend him, right?
Yeah.
People aren't scared to pitch to Ryan O'Hearn.
No, they're not.
You know, like, he's a good hitter. And it's nothing against Ryan O'Hearn. Ryan O'Hearn is a good hitter. He's a good situational hitter. He doesn't swing and miss a ton. He doesn't strike out a ton. But he's got 9 home runs right now. Cedric Mullins has more home runs than Ryan O'Hearn. Okay? Like, people aren't scared to pitch to him. You put somebody behind Gunnar that instills fear into the opposing pitcher, and watch what happens to Gunnar's numbers. Which leads me to, should the Orioles make a run at Marcell Ozuna?
Of course.
His contract expires at the end of this year. The Braves are in the midst of, I think, their second 7-game losing streak of the season. They're not going to get back into that NL East race. They're not going to get into the playoff picture. What would it take for the Orioles to go get Marcell Ozuna?
Atlanta likes pitching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody likes pitching.
We don't have any pitching and stays healthy, so.
Yeah. You know, I
don't know. I really don't know. I honestly, I bet you could trade Trevor Rogers for Marcell Ozuna.
I was thinking Judd Fabian.
I think he'd be in the trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he'd be a centerpiece.
You don't want to give up too much unless you plan on signing Ozuna.
Right.
But to me, it's like when
you're right. Yeah, I wouldn't go with Trevor Rogers then.
For me, like when I think about bringing a guy like him over, I look back at the '97 Orioles.
Yeah.
When they traded for Geronimo Barroa. Do you remember Geronimo Barroa? Big power hitter for the Athletics. He came to the Orioles. He had over 300 with like 8 home runs in August and September for him. And was on that playoff roster. I think about Marcell Ozuna the same way I would think of Geronimo Barroa, where he's going to come over, he's going to hit in the heart of your order, and he's going to drive the ball out of the ballpark, and he gives you that threat to bat behind Gunnar Henderson. And now all of a sudden your offense is that much better because that dude just demolishes baseballs.
Right.
He just. I will say, though, it goes against the grain of how I usually feel about guys who have a history of domestic violence. I do not like guys that have a history of domestic violence. But apparently, from what I read about him, it was an alcohol problem that he had that led into the domestic violence. He's gotten sober. He's reconciled things, and he's done everything that he needs to do to keep
She
himself
stayed
out
with
of
him,
that
didn't
kind of
she?
trouble. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I
I
looked
played
at
with
that.
Marzell, and look, alcohol can do a lot of different things to you, and he was one of the most genuinely nice people that I ever played with.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read it, it sucked because I knew the guy personally, and I knew that wasn't him. But I mean, alcohol does things to people, so it's good that he got his life on track. It's good that she stayed with him. I have a bunch of kids together, so look, I'm with you. I'm usually against that kind of stuff too. I don't know. I don't know much to say about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'd take him as a baseball player.
Mm-hmm. And but that's the thing. I have heard about how nice of a guy he is and how it was an alcohol related thing. And I know from my own personal experience what alcohol can do. Like I've never hit a woman. I never have. I
Right.
never will. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean I haven't been a complete asshole because of
Mhm.
alcohol. You know. So like I know that it can change who a person is when you're under that kind of an
Right.
influence. You know, and
Yep.
so and that's why like I wouldn't mind the Orioles making a push to sign to trade for a guy like that. And you look around and like I've been looking since the beginning of the season, like who could the Orioles trade for that could help them get back into this race? It would be a legitimate veteran bat that instills fear in the opposition. And this is the first time I looked at a team and was like, oh my God, Marcell Ozuna fits that to a T. Fits it to a T. The Braves are like if they could still re-sign him in the offseason if they want to. You're not gonna have to give up a lot to get him. Orioles also need another starting pitcher. They also need another bullpen arm, in my opinion. Do you think that the Cardinals would be willing to part ways with Sonny Gray? And if so, what does it take to get him?
I don't think Cardinals are parting way with anybody. I think they're sellers. I mean, buyers. They're going to be calling people trying to find more bats. Look, they're making a run. They're doing it quietly. Nobody's really paying attention to them. They just took, what, 2 or 3 out of the Dodgers?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really count winning games against the Dodgers right now because everybody's hurt.
I mean, the Dodgers are hurt all year, though. But they're still going to make the postseason.
Well, yeah. I mean, because they're still going to have that lineup of nothing but all-stars. But I don't know, man. Aren't the Cubs kind of running away with that division?
I don't know. I mean, either way, all they got to do is just get in.
Yeah.
Cubs they went through a stretch. They were struggling, but I think they're back to playing pretty good ball again. They're 4 games over the Cardinals right now.
Yeah,
but if you look at the wild card, if you look at the wild card, actually St. Louis is only a game out of the wild card to the Phillies. So they're going to be buyers, man.
I mean,
I tell you what, I think Arizona is going to sell. They have to.
Yeah, I mean, do you go out and try and get a Zach Gallen?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
He's a free agent, right? They're 6 games back. You lose Corbin Burns. They have one more injury, and all of a sudden they're going to be 10 games back pretty quick. Why not?
Is that Eduardo Rodriguez isn't even pitching for them right now, is he?
No, he's terrible. Hurt again. Always hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 1-3 with the 670. Burns is out for the year. Zach Gallen's got a 5.13 ERA.
Yeah, he's been terrible. Brandon Pfaadt or whatever it was, his last couple outings have been absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he's never been that good, though. He's shown glimpses, but he's never been.
He just shoved it up our butt.
Well, I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah.
Jordan Montgomery's out for the year.
Yeah. Hey, look, they got a problem, too, keeping guys healthy.
I cannot believe Shelby Miller's still in the league.
Yeah,
I remember when
time.
When the Braves traded Shelby Miller to the Diamondbacks for Dansby Swanson. And I was shocked because it was literally the year after Swanson got drafted, like first overall.
Yep.
Man, he was. They traded. It was 2015. After the 2015 season, he went 6-17 that year, but his ERA was 3.02. How do you lose 17 ball games with a 3.02 ERA?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's out there. Apparently, he's their closer. He's got 6 saves, and he's their closer.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, man.
I didn't realize that the Braves have lost 7 straight.
Yeah, for the second time this year.
Phillies have lost 5 straight. They're 1-9 in the last 10.
Well, the Phillies are beat up.
Yeah.
I don't think Castellanos is playing. I know Harper just hit the IL. My stepdad is a huge Phillies fan, so I know a little bit about the Phillies. Just not a ton. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I know everything about there is to know about the team. But my stepdad's a big Phillies fan. He talks about them all the time. So, all right. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone. Find every score from every high school sporting event all year long at countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Going up against Detroit coming up here, the first 3 games. And I think, do the Angels come to town right after Detroit?
I believe so.
What do you... is the only way to have a successful series against Detroit to win 2 or 3? Mm-hmm. What are your expectations again for Detroit?
Put yourself on the map and go win 2 out of 3. Find a way.
What's the just find a way? Let's see.
It's not going to be easy, but look, if you want to do the things that you and I think that are capable of doing, you have to just find a way.
Yeah, they've got Gibson, Long, Casey Mize, and then I think it's Tarek Skubal. Yeah, Skubal, and the Orioles are TBD for the entire series at this point. Yeah, man.
Which we'll probably find out soon, I think.
I would imagine so. Yeah. Look, it's gonna be tough. Detroit had their number last year when the Orioles were actually a somewhat decent ball club. They're better than they've played this year. The Orioles are, and they're kind of showing more, in my opinion, of the team that they are. They're not going to blow your doors off like they were 2 seasons ago. But they're not the team that lost 8. That was 18 games under 500 at one point.
Yeah,
I think they're more like the team that's 11-6 in the last 17. I expect a good series. What I'm looking for, because I don't think Detroit really hits a ton, do they?
I think they hit enough.
Yeah,
but they rely a lot on pitching.
Yeah, like keep these games close. If you're going to win a ball game, it's probably going to be 5-4. If you're going to lose a ball game, just don't lose 7-1. Right. If you're going to lose a ball game, be competitive.
Yep.
But you got to win series, and you're coming home, and 4-2 on that road trip is great considering how they were playing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But man, you can't lose 2 out of 3 to the A's. Like, you can't lose 2 out of 3 to the A's. They very realistically could have gone 6-0 on that road trip.
Yeah, they could have. But you know what?
They
happens.
Didn't.
So
yeah, for sure.
We talked about it. The A's have a good offense, and you let a good offense like that hang around a little bit, get a little bit of confidence, they're going to sting you, and they did.
Yeah, for sure. Anything you want to add before we get to some more viewer comments?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just happened to look up Adley Rutschman's last 95 games. 214, 8 home runs, 27 RBIs in 95 games.
Let's just talk about the last 6. The last 6 he said, what was that, 381? The last 6?
That's really
bad. So some of the viewers of the show right now talking about what they expect against Detroit. Got to win the first 2 so you can afford to concede a loss to the best lefty in baseball. Like, if you don't win the first 2 games, you're not winning that series. You can't win the first one and lose the second, or vice versa. You got to win the first 2. Orioles bird watcher, I would have thought a good arm to target, but the numbers look concerning for Zach Gallen.
For Gallen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what his offseason is going to look like now. I mean, it's just completely opposite of what he expected himself to do this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going into his free agency year.
Yeah.
And I was never that impressed with him to begin with, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Jason Spears, there is 0 chance Elias trades for Ozuna. What makes you think that? To try and get inside Jason's head here for a second here, Zach, why would Elias not trade for Ozuna?
I guess just because of the domestic violence stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be my only thought. I mean, look, I've banged the table for a legitimate DH for a while. You and I both like Ryan O'Hearn a lot. Is he a DH? No. All his damage this year, and I actually pulled the numbers. I think I put them on Twitter a couple days ago. He's not doing anything in the DH spot. And that's where he's getting his all-star votes. So, like, are people even going to vote for him? Like, that's my thing. So, even the first base position, and this is where we're really hurting. It's just you need a guy, one, to protect Gunnar, two, to just DH every night. If that's going to be Tyler O'Neill, then fine. He's probably better at it than Ryan O'Hearn. They were stuck in that matchup hell for so long. Hopefully they're getting out of it. I understand they still want to keep it for Adley and stuff. I just read you why Adley should probably not DH unless he really starts kicking the can and doing something different. 214 does not need to be carved out for a DH role. Sorry. Ozuna fits everything that they need, whether that be a spell in the outfield, but just a DH guy all day long. Just let him get in that lineup and hit. It just really depends on what they're going to do with Tyler O'Neill.
Speaking of Ryan O'Hearn, how is he not hitting second for this ball club?
He needs to, because he doesn't drive runs in unless there's 2 outs and 2 strikes.
Yeah, but he doesn't swing and miss. He puts the bat on the ball. He gets on base. He's a solid situational hitter, and he hits fifth. He hits fifth.
Yeah,
and the guy he's hitting 214 his last 95 games is batting second.
Right. I don't know. He's a good player. When he plays first base this year, he's only have 5 RBIs. Like, our first base position is such an Achilles heel, and I don't think people really realize that. Yeah.
He and Mountcastle, the second half of last season, I think combined for 7 home runs.
Yeah.
Like, 2 players combined for 7 home runs. First base is a position where just about every team, that's who their power hitter is their first baseman. And the Orioles, they have 11 home runs between 2 players out of first base.
And Ryan's got one of them.
Yeah. Oh, Ryan O'Hearn as a first baseman?
As a first baseman, he's played 17 games. He's 17 for 53, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, hitting .321, which is fine. But that's still not good enough.
Mm-hmm. It's like James
as a DH, he's hitting .265 with 5 home runs. So even the DH position is still a problem, in my opinion.
So his best numbers come when he's playing the outfield. That's interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting.
And we talked about it with Santander. Like, he's the same way. DHing is very hard. It's very, very hard to just go in and just DH, just hit only, and stay up in the game and perform. It's not easy at all. And I think Ryan O'Hearn is just another guy that kind of goes through that same motion. Let me see. Is the DH, the Orioles as overall are hitting .223 from the DH position, which is 22nd in baseball. And then
you said .223?
Yeah, as a DH. So everyone who's tried to DH this year. And then from a first base position, they are hitting .260, obviously because Mountcastle's near 300, with just 3 home runs on the season. They're the lowest in baseball. And they are the 27th most RBIs with 21. Now, for context, the Mets have 57 RBIs from their first base position.
Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
He's got, 18 home runs?
The Athletics have 50. Yeah.
I probably didn't need to know that. That hurts. Yeah. That hurts my feelings. I am missing Tony Taters. The two, dude. He's off to the worst start of his career. He's hurt. He's off to the worst start of his career.
He's gonna stay hurt up there. Honestly, he can't play on turf. His body broke down here on grass. There's no chance he ever survives on turf.
Let's see what we got here.
His last 95 games, 192, 16 home runs, 42 RBIs. He's just as bad as Gunnar Henderson.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that people do. I do think that they're missing his presence from a clubhouse perspective. I think that he was just so likable and he was a leader on the ball club.
Sure.
But what people don't understand about Tony Taters is that it was home run or nothing.
Yep.
It was home run. The guy hit .230. He had a .307 on base percentage last year. And with a runner on third base and less than 2 outs, he went over last season. He went over, which means that he's like, I think he had a couple of sacrifice flies, but like when you need a big hit with a guy, he wasn't driving them in. I think he had one hit with runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs that wasn't a home run last year.
Yeah.
You could see the writing on the wall that the power numbers were going up and the batting average was going down, and eventually the batting, because he's on the wrong side of 30 now, eventually those power numbers are going to start matching that batting average as well. Yeah. Do I think he'll come back and maybe hit 240 the rest of the year and finish the season with 25 home runs? Yeah, but I don't think he'll ever hit 40 again. I think he might hit 30 a couple of times, but he's never going to hit 260. He's done that, I think, once in his life. He is what we saw here. 230, 240 hitter, strikes out a fair amount, and when he gets hot, he can carry your team for a few weeks. But that's the Orioles need it. But hindsight's 2020. You look at what the Orioles have gotten. Again, Dylan Carlson and Ramon Laureano are your starting corner outfielders right now. So today's show has been brought to you by the latest edition of Press Box Print, which is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, starter Kyle Bradish, and Tyler Wells. Also inside, learn about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams, from the players that have played for him, and much more. You can find a new issue all throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Also, I want to point out that on Tuesday, June 10th, so just a couple of days from now, the Orioles are hosting lacrosse night, and fans can receive a limited edition Orioles-branded lacrosse penny when they purchase a special ticket package at Orioles.com/theme nights. Limited supplies remain. The night will also feature appearances from PLL players like Colin Heacock, Matt Rambo, Matt Dunn, Sidney Black, and Grace Griffin. So if you are into lacrosse and you also randomly like baseball, head on out to the Orioles lacrosse night on Tuesday, June 10th. I will tell you that the most players that I've seen from other sports that I've heard say that they think baseball is the easiest sport and they think that hitting is easy are lacrosse players.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, let me take you out and throw you a 65-mile-an-hour fastball and watch how pathetic you look.
Right.
It's just a 65-mile-an-hour fastball. It's funny how, I guess because you play during the same season, lacrosse players and baseball players do not get along.
Yeah.
I
used to
weird.
pee in their lockers in high school. That's Mount St. Joe for you.
Oh, man.
Share the same locker room, and I would just turn around and just whiz on in there.
I've never really cared. I never really cared about lacrosse players. But
it was bad at that school.
We had a practice a few years ago, and we were playing at John Carroll, and we were practicing, and on the field below, no, we had a game. We had a game at John Carroll on their JV field, and on the lacrosse field behind us, there was a lacrosse game going on, and the guys on my team were talking so much shit about those lacrosse players, and they were like, lacrosse players are just the guys that couldn't play baseball, and I was just like, I did not realize the actual hatred that exists between baseball and lacrosse players.
Yeah.
I never had a problem with lacrosse players. I felt like I would have been good at lacrosse, but I never wanted to play because baseball is way more fun. You got anything else tonight? I'm beat, man.
Yeah.
I'm beat.
I just want to touch on Peyton's last comment here about Kobe Mayo looking better. To my surprise, Kobe Mayo is tied for the 4th most RBIs on the team this year out of the DH position.
What is that, 3?
1.
1.
O'Hearn has 12. Rutschman has 4. Westberg has 2. And Kobe Mayo has 1. And then Heston Kjerstad has 1. And that's our DH position this year.
Do you think the Orioles are relying too heavily on young guys?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, I think the proof is in the pudding. They've needed a veteran presence in the middle of their order since 2022, and they just don't have that guy. They just don't have him.
Yeah.
I was so convinced Mayo would get his first home run in that minor league park. The atmosphere was as close to AAA as you could get. Come on, Kobe.
You would think they all would have hit well.
Yeah.
They were all just in AAA a year and a half ago.
Right. Kobe started putting better swings on the ball in that Seattle series.
I noticed his hitch is a little less. Just a little.
if you're noticing it, I think their coaches are noticing it too, and John Mabry has probably noticed it.
Yes.
I look at the swings that Mayo took in Game 1 against Seattle. He ripped a base hit into left field to drive in a run, or into center field to drive in a run. He barreled a ball up and flew out to deep center, and he barreled another ball up, but he got under it and popped it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, the swing path looks better. He's finding the barrel. He doesn't look overmatched. He's not swinging at pitches outside the zone nearly as frequently. Mayo's
He's still getting the bullshit calls outside the zone, just like Holiday got last year. It's annoying the hell out of me at this point.
The umpire today was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
he was god awful. And look, that might be a different game if Sagano gets the strike 2 call on that pitch that was well inside the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
That got called a ball there in the first or second inning. I think it might be a different ball game. The Orioles, and we've talked about on the show, they're the most hosed team by umpires in all of baseball. Yeah. They get the sour end of the stick a lot. So look, big series coming up against Detroit starting on Tuesday. The Orioles need to go and win 2 out of 3, and then welcome the Angels to town and hopefully take 2 out of 3 there. You just got to keep winning series. Winning series. Get healthy. You're getting some guys back. You got Laureano back. You got Kowser back. You're going to be getting O'Neill, Mullins, Westbrook back here in the next week or so. They need to get some pitching back. Get Bradish. Have you heard anything about Bradish recently? The last I heard was a month ago.
They're very weird about their pitching. I remember late last year, they asked Felix to stop posting on Instagram. Remember he was throwing and posting and stuff? They're weird about that. It's like position players, they don't care. The pitching, they're just like, let's not talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Yeah. So we're gonna see. This team is playing a lot better brand of baseball. How much do you think has to do with Tony Mansolino?
I think they match his energy. He's a high energy guy. He just look. He's not media trained. He sounds kind of dumb in his interviews. I just think. And we saw it again today. One of the beat reporters posted it. All 4 coaches were outside early today, and they were hitting ground balls to Kobe Mayo at first base, working on that. I've seen more of that under Mansolino than I have under Brandon Hyde in the last 4 years. Like, not saying it didn't happen. We just didn't hear about it or see it. They had Buck Britton out there. They had Mabry out there. They had Mansolino who was actually hitting the ground balls, and he had Kobayashi. So I think he likes that. Like he was always the get out there and do that kind of early work stuff anyway, as the infield coach. But as the head coach to continue to still do that, I think your players feed off of that. And they feed off your energy. And I understand people want to pick on him about like some of the choice words that he uses and about keeping guys healthy and not in the heat and stuff. Look, Tony's just giving it to you completely honest. And why you never heard it before is because people are media trained and they don't want honesty out in the public. You're getting honesty. And the dude's just being about as real with you as he can get. And people are kind of cracking on him about it. But I feel like the players are they're gelling under that.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed is that he gives his starters who have earned it a lot longer leash. Sagano in that start against Seattle cruised through 5 innings. He comes out in the 6th. He gives up back-to-back base hits to start the 6th inning. When Brandon Hyde was managing this ball club, as soon as Sagano gave up that first hit, he would have gotten the bullpen up. As soon as he gave up the second hit, he would have sent French out for a mound visit. They would have let him pitch to Rodriguez, and then it would have been Aiken facing Cal Raleigh. Yeah. And instead, he let Sagano get through that inning. Like Sagano then got to the 7th. He was at 90 pitches and wanted to come back out for the 8th. And to me, it's showing your team that you're just going to let your guys play and you're going to trust your guys to get through things and trust your guys to put the ball in play when they need to. I think that it speaks volumes to your team and says, oh, this guy, he's going to let us play our game. And I think that does a lot more for a roster than constantly matching up and being like, oh, there's lefty on the mound. So, Hearn, you got to sit down. Holiday, you got to sit down. Yep. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No.
All right. Big series against Detroit. Then you got the Angels. We'll be talking after that Angels series next Sunday night here on the Batter. Hopefully talking about a 4-2, maybe 5-1 week. Hopefully it's not a 2-4 week.
Another 4-2 week, and the team's in real good shape. Real good
Yeah.
shape, I think.
Yeah, win a couple of series, and if you can't win the series against Detroit, then go sweep the Angels.
Yeah.
Just keep winning more than you're losing, and let
Yep.
the cards fall where they may. A couple of weeks ago, this team was 18 games under 500. Coming in today, they're 7.5 out of a wild card spot.
Look, go 4-2. Doesn't matter how you get there. Doesn't matter if you 1-2 against Detroit and 3-0 against the Angels. Just find a way to go 4-2.
Exactly. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Bat Around. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we don't have a show. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners, viewers, and just fans of the show. Without you, we would 100% do not have a show. Zach, thanks to you as always. Until next week, see ya.
See you guys.